morning, good evening. Welcome to this week's live chat. I want to chat about failure and what failure means to you. Are you planning for it? Are you allowing for it in your day-to-day work balance, work life? All right. So we've got the hydrates, we've got the Yetis all jumping in straight away. I'm just double checking things on my end. Do we have a live reactions? Do we have live chat replay? Yes, we do. All right, we have all these things. So it's really easy to sort of go, oh yeah, I'm never going to make a failure a plan. I'm, you know, you might be in team failure is not an option. But if you're in that team, you're not actually preparing just in case things fail to still have success after that. So we've had some interesting times. I'm looking for my thing. There it is. We've had some interesting times over the last few months of streaming softwares where you go to set up, you go to hit go live, this thing's been super reliable forever, then all of a sudden it's not working. It won't connect your microphone, it won't connect your camera, it won't do something you need it to do, or it just won't connect to your streaming platform. That's a big one, especially for those over on Facebook learning that Facebook changed the rules. So making sure all of these things are kind of in your mind when you're making these plans for your live streams. So I want to say good morning to Doug, who has jumped in with the Yeti. I did miss seeing that when I was running around. I realized my cup of tea was still in the kitchen, so I had to run and grab that. Home Rapid Repair, it's great to see you in the chat. Anfield Road Layout in the Loft. I always just think of you as Anfield, and I do the whole thing, Chantelle. Don't be slack. Geology Dude says coffee, mwahaha, an evil drink that fights failure. Yeah, look, I'm team coffee. I'm absolutely team coffee for sure. And I'm sort of sitting here thinking, why isn't my, things working here? And it's just purely because I've forgotten to press buttons. I got stuck having a conversation with my family, oh, my name is Lee. Just call me that. Lee, I'm going to be really honest. There's a good chance I'll forget. I'm terrible with names. I'm one of these people like, I know that face. But I will try to remember. I will try. But otherwise, as long as you're right with me calling you Anfield as well, then that is cool too. There we go. That's what I wanted to open up. All right. So I've got tea. I've got water. Let me know. Are you hydrated? Are you ready? Are you ready for today's chat? Let me know. I'm just getting all comfy. I'm like, my fan's not on, but that's okay. Goodness me. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. I didn't check to see if it's burned my face off hot. Okay. Cross my fingers. Yep. That's burned my face off hot. Let's take the lid off that and let it. Oh, the lid's like, no, we're not escaping. We need to keep the hot beverage secured. Oh, tip of my lip gone. I should have checked that sooner. All right, so let's have a look here. Let's have a look. All right, so those of you that have been around the channel for a bit, you know this. Those of you that are new probably have zero idea. But I am team prepare for failure. I like backups for my backups. I like having spare mics, spare cameras, spare lights, spare cables. I like having all of this stuff, and it's all pretty much at a grabbing thing. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy 2 of everything or 3 of everything when you're buying it. I don't do that. As I decide, okay, this light's sort of not really doing what I want it to do anymore, or anything like that, I will put it away before it totally dies, and that becomes the backup, and then the new light is the ultimate light. So I'm hoping that will be the one that we like. So, I like to have these things around, but there are some things that are a little bit trickier to have spares and backups for. Doug saying here, I like streaming by the seat of my pants, and that's what we did this week, wasn't it, Doug? That was our Saturday. Saturday stream was seat of the pants stream. We had no backup. Or actually, we did have a backup, but the backup failed. So yeah, seat of the pants streaming. Let's have a look here. Oh, yes, that's fine, cool. Livestream consultant says they've got a Diet Coke in hand while on the road. Well, be very careful, please. Got the live stream software. All we do now is start the live stream very soon on my channel. That is awesome. I'm so glad you are getting into it. That is so good. That is so good. We've got everyone saying hi to each other. That is so cool. I buy 2 of most things, sometimes 3, even mics. Yeah, and for you, I would, because you've got to have the backups on the backups on the backups. You travel around helping people produce their live streams. And I'd be the same as you, be like, this is my creative microphones and this is my creative lighting, and that would be the thing. So Home Wrap Repair says, I always have the backup items too. I plan way ahead when I can control things. And that's the big thing, isn't it? When we can control it. So for the actual physical items that we get to control, so the lights, the microphone, all that sort of stuff, all those backups, we get to decide to have that. But there are things that happen during a live stream or just before it starts, we have zero control over. We have zero control over there being a local power outage. We have zero control over a live stream software becoming unreliable. All of these things. And are you able and willing to jump to the next thing? So for me, if I have a power outage, I've got alternatives, right? For a start, I live stream during the day here. I know it's hard to believe. There is actually a window directly in front of me. It's covered in thick sound blankets right now, so we get no light because I like to control the light in my studio. But I have run a stream where I just opened that curtain up, used my mobile phone data, and had a laptop with a backup battery power. It was a bare bones live stream, but I still ran the live. So it's one of those things, like, what have you got as a backup if that happens? Or are you just like, yep, no, can't stream? Because we have an idea of what we want our streams to look like. Like, I like my streams like with the pretty lights and the out of my face audio and having audio interface to control things. And I love having the overlays where you guys can throw in your throw in all of the chat commands, all of these things. I love having all of that available. But will I run a stream if I don't have it? And the answer is yes. Yes, I will. But that's because of the kinds of streams I'm running. Now, for some reason, list isn't working. So I'm going to have to go and find. If you guys don't know the live commands, we might be live chat commands. We might be in a pickle. I'm going to have a little drink of water. Livestream consultant says you should have seen all the equipment brought with me to Vid Summit. So do it. Yeah, got to hydrate, man. Got to hydrate. So what is it that is your no-go? Like where are you when it comes to either content creation or live streaming, when you're like, you know what, I can't do that today because of this external factor? What is your no-go? So for me, it comes down to a point of, because I predominantly live stream, so I need to have some sort of internet connection and some way to stream to that connection. So I've also just run live stream straight from my phone. There's no bells and whistles. There's nothing. I can barely see the chat because I'm half blind. I'm not half blind. I'm just, getting old. And things like that. I've got to have my iPad here so I can make all the fonts big so I can read them. So all of these different things create different points of either failure or success. So for me, I like having the bells and whistles. I like being able to bring on, the comments onto screen. I like being able to have the nice lights. But I will still run my stream without them. And I know there's creators out there who won't. I know that's, if they can't have all of the things that they want to have, they're not going to do it. And this is the same thing for people who haven't live streamed or haven't created a video yet. They want to have everything, all their ducks lined up in a row. Have you guys seen that meme where it's like, I don't even know where my ducks are, and then there's a police car with ducks in it? Like, that's me. Like, I don't know where the ducks are. They're definitely not lined up in a row. I can tell you that right now. So I don't expect that level of pristine organization for myself, because that to me means I don't want to do it. If I'm putting that kind of, it must be perfect, I must have the best microphone, the best cameras, the best everything all ready to go for my very first go, then in my brain, like for me, I know I don't actually really want to do it. I know I'm just looking for reasons not to do it. Because if you've never done this before, if you've never... Oh my goodness, Larry. Australian Tim Tam biscuits for the win. Wow. Thank you so much. Australian Tim Tams are superior. I will digress and say that. Thank you so much for that. I very much appreciate that. There is a parcel on its way to Larry's house, full of Tim Tammy goodness. So thank you so much. Thank you. But I'm trying not to get distracted by Tim Tams, because now I'm like, Tim Tams. No. I have a plan for the stream today, Larry. There's a plan. So having these things, having these expectations of perfection before we start, they are just a way to just avoid starting. We don't need to be perfect. The stream doesn't need to have all the bells and whistles. None of this stuff is a must. What is a must for your live streams? So let me know in the chat, what is the absolute bare minimum you need to have for your live stream? So for me, I need to be able to be heard, be seen, and be on a live streaming platform. They're my 3 musts. So let me know in the chat, what are your must-haves? Do you have to have a way to screen share it? Do you have to have a way for an extra person to come in? So there's extra musts that you need to have that aren't just bells and whistles. They are actual legitimate must-haves. So let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on the replay, what are your must-haves for a live stream? So right now, I know for a fact in the drawer behind me are 2 power bricks fully charged. How do I know they're fully charged? Every week I double check. I don't use them every week. Every now and again, I might charge my phone up with one. But every week I plug it in, make sure I've got all my dots, and then unplug it. And I make sure that I have that set up. Now, I also know that both my laptops will run using those power bricks. So I've got 2 laptop option. I've got my MacBook Pro, which I definitely prefer to live stream from. Although I've only done a test stream from it. I wanted to double check I could, make it work. So it's only had a test stream run from it. But I also have a very lightweight laptop, like it's an M5. No, not M5. What am I saying? i5. Gosh, I've been thinking Mac far too long. It's just a little i5 Lenovo, and it can absolutely run a stream as long as I'm cloud streaming. It can't push a double signal. So as long as I can, stream using that sort of software. So I can't use Ecamm on it. It's a Windows laptop. So I did historically use StreamYard on it, which I no longer use. So I've actually got to check the alternatives for that one. But I've only just set up OBS over on the MacBook Pro. I should probably copy all of my Ecamm stuff. My MacBook Pro is fairly new. I have not used it in a serious way yet. I haven't edited a video on it yet, and I haven't live streamed an actual public live stream on it yet. Livestream consultant says the only issue he would have is if the streaming platform is down. So if YouTube was down, he would have a problem. Everything else he's got covered. So that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And Anfield says that for his live streaming must-haves is a camera and lighting. Awesome. That is awesome. Home rapid repairs is my must-haves would be mental state. I have to have things settled and ready to go before streaming. Yeah, like definitely making sure you're in the right mindset. And sometimes like just before, especially if you're like just about to go live and you're like, la, 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 and then you're like, this thing is down, or this isn't working, or oh my God, what do I do? And I get frazzled for sure. So I need a moment. And so my stream might start a little bit late. there's a good chance it'll start 5 to 10 minutes late because I'll be like sitting here like madly trying to set up an alternative and then be like try to big deep breaths and calm it down and get that energy to the correct levels and not negative energy and, try to get everything ready to go. Absolutely. I understand it. Enfield says that they're going to be using Ecamm. That is awesome. I'm a big fan of Ecamm. If you're in the Mac world, you definitely need to check it out. I am a princess. Yes, absolutely. Jerry says, I need an encoder so I can share my screen or bring people in. YouTube really needs to develop their own. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. With all of the things that YouTube is doing, and, sure, they make it possible for these third-party apps to work, but wouldn't it be really nice if we could actually just use YouTube native things that allowed browser overlays and guests and, wouldn't that be amazing rather than just being able just to click go live and choose one camera and one microphone and go. Yeah, I also, you're right. I didn't consider it like that. I definitely prefer to have an encoder. I don't have to have one with the kind of content that I'm making. I don't have to have an encoder, but I prefer to have an encoder. Enfield says that I'm going with Ecamm and Restream for my live streams. There you go. I don't use Restream. I just use straight Ecamm, but if you need to, then you've got it. Who remembers when they had Google Hangouts baked in? Oh my gosh, I remember that. I do remember that. When was that? Was that 2012? 2014? When that was booted? I don't remember. But yeah, I do remember it being there. So they had the ability to bring guests. They would. Livestream consultant says, yes, I would love to see YouTube do a StreamYard style interface natively. Me too. So YouTube's talking about how, they're trying really hard for YouTube TV and YouTube gaming and all these sorts of things. And there's some stuff that would really go hand in hand with that. Like they've already got a team who are working on the Go Live stuff. So they've already got someone doing what they have existing. Maybe an extra engineer or 7 could help with that. I don't know. Jerry says you can go live with one other person using vertical, but it's clunky. Oh, it's so clunky. It's so clunky I don't use it. That's the thing. It's so clunky that I don't use it. Now I've just realized something. I am live streaming both on YouTube and LinkedIn. And I'm using Social Stream Ninja, but I've only grabbed the chat from YouTube for Social Stream Ninja. So I do need to be just checking the other comments as well. I was a guest on someone's live stream last week. StreamYard's ease of use and guest is undefeated. Well, I think it's defeated. I don't believe their ease of use and stability is any longer a priority. And I'm so glad it worked for you, but that was Doug and Mai's backup this week. And I was in 2 different calls using StreamYard on one day. The first call, no one could get their cameras turned on. StreamYard just wouldn't give you an option. And the second one, I was able to turn my camera on, but Doug wasn't. So we had to go guesting with Ecamm, which is a little not as good as the rest of Ecamm's features. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's not as good as the rest of Ecamm's features, but it is a new feature. So I don't want to moan too much about it, but what I will moan about the demise of StreamYard. And I'm really sad because it was my go-to. If I was having a guest, it was a no-brainer. That's where I went. I didn't care that they highly compressed everything and that a 1080p stream from Ecamm looks totally different than a 1080p stream from StreamYard. I didn't care. Now I care. If I can't guarantee that my guests are going to be able to turn on their cameras, I can't guarantee that it's going to work. I was a mod for a webinar and StreamYard's solution was, oh, sorry, it's not working for you. Let's just restart it and go again. It's just like, I'm sorry, we can't do that. Because that would mean sending out emails to all of these people. So we had to move it to another platform. So rather than risk it failing a second time. Jerry says, I made the mistake of scheduling my next 2 live streams in StreamYard, so they sucked me in for another month, but I'm moving on in January. You can't cancel the streams in StreamYard, and just like, you could totally cancel the stream. Like, it's not that hard. You could cancel it, or at least the second one, cancel that. Unless of course there's other reasons as well. But yeah, it is. I was definitely team StreamYard. Now I'm like team, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which is my favorite. And obviously everyone's going to have different points of failure and success with StreamYard and other streaming softwares. Some people really struggle with OBS. You know what I mean? Like, different people have different levels of comfort on the streaming softwares. And while OBS is free and has tons of resources, for some people it's that step too difficult, whereas the simplicity of the StreamYard interface was really great, which is why we loved it. EVMux is different. Like, it's not just a straight switch. EVMux is a solid option, but there are differences. And that's why they were both able to exist at the same time, is because there's differences. And they're not good or bad differences, they're just differences. And you have to go in and decide if that's what you want. So I do have a link for EVMux if you want to give that a try. In the description, because my chat commands are not working and I don't know why. So I still get the GIFs, no problems. You guys can throw GIFs at me all you want, but for some reason my straight up chat commands aren't working. I'm actually just going to go and check to see if I've turned them off. So because let's be honest, that's a real possibility. That's a real possibility that I have actually, like, in my trying to make them work, I switched them off and on and off and on and off and on. And that's not popping up. Where is it sitting behind another screen here? Let's have a look. Nope, it's not there. I don't know where it is. I'm not going to worry too hard about it. So, yeah. Let's have a look. Anfield said that they used to like StreamYard, but not now. Yeah. Jerry says need to test EVMux. Need to test, but EVMux is the leader right now. Yeah, I think EVMux is definitely gotten the lion's share of the jump shipping like percentage of people who've left. So going from there. Oh, I understand. You've already shared your guest link. Okay, I get that. There's more to it. Yeah, for sure. Home wrap. I've seen videos that look complicated to me, but I'm sure it'll be great. Well, see, there's options. See, this is the thing with EVMux. You've got there's 2 different sort of options. So you can just do the really basic, their stuff sets it up, or you can go in and really customize it. But there's not sort of a blend of both. You've got to do one or the other. So if you just really want like a StreamYard style stream, talking head, bring in a guest with like their names popping up kind of thing, that's nearly the same. It's pretty close to being identical, right? The second you want to start adding like the abilities to add in some of the extra features like the overlays and things like that, that's where it starts to get a bit more different. So yeah, have you tried Riverside? Not as yet. It is on my list of things to try. I've dug in, I've had a little look, but I haven't actually streamed with it. And it's looking like a solid option as well. But it is still I haven't given it a good run. So I don't really have an opinion yet. Let's have a look here. Enfield says I tested EVMux and Restream and they're the same. Yeah, like there's a lot of similar features between EVMux, Restream, and StreamYard. There's definitely levels of similarity, but there's also levels of difference as well. Yeah, Jerry, get it. I totally get it. Yeah, and if the stream's tomorrow night, it's too close. It is too close. So yeah, I would not kill it. I would just really hope that they've sorted out the issue with the cameras coming in, so that your guests can actually join the chat. And Larry, I just saw your message, and let's just say you're well and truly fine. I feel like I need to refund some back. Your guess was very generous. Let's just go with that. Thanks for that response. StreamYard got too costly. Yeah. Yeah. I did a stream a little while back, so I'm not going to dig in too much, but if you want to go and check that one, you can look at the pricing plans. But if you wanted StreamYard and you wanted to stay with it, even though it's not as reliable as it was and it does not have the stability that it had, if you still really want StreamYard, then if you go in and create a whole brand new account with a new email address, they actually offer you prices like a 50% free, 50% starting price. And it actually stays at that 50% off until you cancel the account or until you miss a payment. So if you really, really want StreamYard and the cost was the only issue, there's a way around it. It does mean you have to re-upload all your assets again and redo everything all over again. But if it was literally the cost being the only thing that was driving you away, there was a way around it. No refunds. You're awesome. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. A live stream consultant says OneStream was another option. The Creator Classroom was testing that one. Yeah, look, I don't know how her tests have panned out, but she has moved on to alternatives now as well. So I'd say something happened, which I don't know what. I don't know the story behind it, but it does appear that she's no longer using OneStream as well. So Real Men Rising, great to see you. Thanks for jumping in. I'm going to have a sip of my beveragino because I'm getting quite parched today. Lots of talking. All right. So, I'm just having a little look. I've got notes here, so I'm making sure I'm hitting all the notes. Okay, so we had to talk about like what happens if your power goes out. If that is an end of, okay, that's it, no streaming, power's out. So depending on how your internet is set up, like all these sorts of things. Like for me right now, if I lost power this second, my stream would end. It's that simple. Ecamm would give me the ability to be able to, like if I rebooted and got back in, I could join the stream again, but they only give you a few minutes to get in and do that. Restream? No. Ecamm. Did I say Ecamm? I mean Ecamm. I'm using Ecamm. Ecamm is what I'm using right now. So having that ability is there, but it's got to be quick. So, but if my power is out and I can't stream, the one thing I don't actually have, I just need to just do something just briefly. Sorry, family has to survive in the same house that I'm streaming in. They just happen to be surviving where the microphone can pick them up. So, having these different, having different things in place. So one thing that I would really like to get, it's a wish. I'm not even saving for it right now. I probably should be, but it is a UPS. So if content creation and live streaming is a huge part, or any kind of computing and data accessing is a huge part of your workflow, a UPS is something you should seriously be considering. Depending on the UPS system or the uninterrupted power supply system that you buy, you may have long enough to actually just do like, okay, power's out, be able to just do a proper shutdown so you don't lose anything. But some of them also have an additional battery backup where you could have hours and hours of power that you've got. So you could just continue on and nobody would be any the wiser except for you. So, and maybe, you might have a few less lights or something like that. So an uninterrupted power supply is a really solid option if you don't have one. Or if you are another option, especially if you're a traveling streamer, things like that. Now, I don't mean mobile. These things are big and heavy. These things would need their own cart to push them around on. They are not lightweight. You can't just chuck them in a backpack, right? These are big boxes. But if you are someone who runs podcasts or streams for other people, it's actually probably not a bad thing to have in the back of your car, ready to go just in case something happens on their end. So their stream can go ahead and you be the superhero. So, but for me, I would need to make sure that my NBN is connected to that. because we in Australia we do have NBN router that goes to your standard router, so you've got to have power to both of those things. So, and that's just to get the internet. So, you know, you've got to think about exactly the entire flow from your computer to the walls. Like where are your power points? Where are your pain points? All of these things. So UPS is a really great option, but that is like, it's I'm like, oh, you know, that's only for if you're serious. No, it's not just if you're streaming for other people. A UPS is one of those things that could actually save your data. So if you are somebody who is writing assignments and things like that, and you lose power and you don't have autosave on, for a start, put autosave on, okay? Like just put it on, all right? But aside from that, it would mean that you've got time to actually do proper saves and shutdowns to save your sanity. Now, the other things I want to talk about are like if you have a limited power or what do I need? Like right now, I've got these lights and I got all of those lights, right? I got all the lights on. What light do I actually need? I just need one light or one light source. So if my power's out and I've got to choose what's being plugged into the UPS, or if I'm running my laptop off battery power, and I've got a webcam in the laptop, and that's what I'm going with, but I still need to be seen, I still need some light, push open a curtain. You know, push open a curtain. That could make the world a difference. There's a ton of really great videos about using a window as natural source lighting and how to diffuse it so that you're not just being blown out as a ghost. Whatever you do, don't watch my first videos over on my Fiberific channel where I didn't understand how to do that properly. I decided to use a double glass sliding door or double sized glass sliding door as my light source, but I look like a ghost. I quite literally look like a ghost, like just crocheting and knitting as an ethereal ghost. So yeah, there's ways to do things, there's ways not to do things. That is a way not to do things. Enfield saying, oh, Lee is saying, thanks for the great stream. You have a great Christmas to you. It's late here and I watch on a replay, and I'll see you next time. See you later. Have a good one. Have a good one. Frankie over 50. You are up early, girl. It's good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. Captain Crush, so good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. So we're just having a discussion about planning for failure, and is failure a part of your plan? And right at the start, I was talking about how, you know, are you one of these people where failure is not an option? Failure happens all the time in all different shapes and forms and fashions and sizes and all sorts of things. Failures happen. And if you're not planning for failure, you are planning to fail. So, which sounds bizarre. It's an odd way to put it, and I should probably come up with something better. But if you are not planning that failures can happen, you will fail. If you're expecting sunshine and roses for everything, and then something, you know, you stumble and you have no plan to get yourself back up again, then that is a failure in itself. That if you have no plan to dust yourself off and go again, then that in itself is a failure. Like our streams don't have to be perfect, right? Like you're here, you're watching this stream, you can look around, you can see things that are not perfect, right? They don't have to be perfect. They just have to connect with your audience, right? So I'm trying to connect with you. Let me know in the chat if you feel like I am connecting. If you feel like I am making a point that is relevant to you, let me know. Otherwise, and if I'm not, I need to solve that. I need to solve that. I hate roses. They got thorns in them. They do. They do. There are thornless roses, and you can de-thorn roses. But you know, I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. So making sure that you're prepared is one thing, but being prepared in case something happens. Like right now, if I lose power, I'm going to have to jump in on another device and start a new stream. And that is something I'm not actually super happy about, but that's just how it is. because I don't have any other backups. Like StreamYard would be a case of I could literally jump into the same stream on my phone. I can't do that with Ecamm, you know. Let's have a look here. Real Men Rising says, we are all content creators and will experience what I call nightmares on live streams. Absolutely. Absolutely. Things get shaky. There are janky things that happen in our live streams all the time. And it might be something that only you or me as the presenter notice. Like, I don't know if you guys could hear my family having a full-on conversation not 3 meters away from me. I don't know if you could hear that. I could hear it, and I found that off-putting for me. And I don't know if you could hear it. My mic meters said that they were being picked up. But we all have to decide what we consider our own point of failure and our own point of success. And not all failures are like critical failures, right? Not all failures are like end of world failures. Some of them are just like, oh, laugh it off and keep going kind of thing, you know? Not all failures are devastating. Tech for your needs. Hey, it's good to see you. I hope you're going well. So I don't know how much more I can talk about this, because I'm trying to be really positive about it. But failures, people who aren't prepared to fail really struggle with a lot of things, really struggle with actually putting things into action, because they want everything perfect. They want everything just so. And that's not to say you don't have a standard, right? Or you don't have a preferred way to do things. But if you can't have your preferred way of doing things, does that mean you don't do it at all? Now, for me, I prefer trifle without green jelly. Does that mean I'm not going to eat trifle that has green jelly? Absolutely. That stuff deserves to be set on fire and thrown into the ocean. But is that the same case for you? Like, do you have those same thoughts about like, oh, I can't have a good camera, I can only use my phone for live streaming, then I'm not live streaming? Like, is that the thinking there? Is it baby out with the bathwater? My husband's always like, drink green jelly and trifle's not that bad. And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's like, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. It's like, okay, cool. But then I don't have to eat the green jelly, right? So, yeah. Livestream consultant says, get the band hammer out for them. I did gently discuss the fact that I was live streaming and that maybe they could have their conversation elsewhere. All right. So, have we got plans in place? Do you have a plan in place? What is your backup plan? What is your, this isn't perfect, but it'll do and I'm still going to run? Where are we at for that? Is any, or are you team, it has to be just so or it's not happening? Like, let me know. Let me know. Livestream consultant says, you have to be willing to learn from the stream crashes and take steps to mitigate it from happening again. Yes, absolutely. We have to be willing to learn from the things that happen. When things crash and burn, what caused it to crash and burn? Was it something in your control? What can you do to reduce that risk? What is something that you can do to make it less likely that that's going to happen? So, like for me, if I tried to stream to many more destinations, we would have a janky stream. So I choose wisely. I choose 2. I choose LinkedIn. I choose YouTube, right? So would I drop down to 1? Absolutely. YouTube. That would be my go-to. So it's just how, like, and I know that I'm limited, like the internet bandwidth that I have does create its own limitations. Is there anything I can do about that internet bandwidth limitation? No. Can I work within the constraints that I have? Yes, I can. So, Growing to Live says, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Absolutely. And if your plan doesn't include failure options, then you're also going to fail. So I don't think planning fixes everything. I think planning is awesome, and you should absolutely be planning, and you should absolutely be testing and trialing things. But you also need to be ready to throw that plan out the window and go by the seat of your pants. Sometimes stuff happens and you can't go with your plan. As you know, like there are things that are you the kind of person that if you can't use my stutter's about to kick in. Sorry guys, I can feel it. If you can't use the plan that you have written, if you have to go off the script, if you have to go off the plan, does that mean you have failed? I don't think so. She says, as she just about never goes on script. Luckily for me, I don't consider that failure. You may consider that failure. Everyone's considerations here are relevant, and that the yes or no to failure is not correct or incorrect. It's just understanding what those points are for you. We will all have a different line of failure versus planning. We will all have a different level of what is acceptable and what is unacceptable in our live streams or in our videos. But understanding where those lines are for yourself so that you can go forward and keep creating content. I think that's where I'm trying to go with this. As an example, I bring 2 different sets of wireless mics and 2 different sets of wired mics, as the situations may change or a mic may die. So yeah, backups for the backups. I'm all about the backups for the backups live stream. You and I, we've had this conversation. Like, we're all about suspenders and belts, right? And because of the kind of work that you're doing as well, you may have been told one plan and you get there and they may have changed the plan. And you may have, like, if you didn't bring all this extra stuff, they may not be able to have their plan. Most of us at some point have done entire live streams not realizing we were on mute and learning after the live has ended. Yeah, yep. Or recorded videos with no audio, or yeah. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's so easy to miss it as well, especially if you're a new streamer and you don't have anyone in the chat just to check and just be like, hey, I can't actually hear you over the music. I can tell you're talking, but like if you don't have anybody there, it can make things awkward. It can make things awkward and disappointing, right? Like when that happens, I'm always just like, you know, like I a few weeks back, I started a stream, or I thought I'd started a stream. 10 minutes in, realized no one's responding to my questions. And then ask the question, am I actually live? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I think, yeah, I agree. Cannot tell you how many content creators have done that. Every seasoned creator. And, you know, that says something for those mics that you plug directly into your camera, that the second the camera turns on, the mic turns on. That is why they exist. Because it is a real thing that happens so many times. It's a real thing, you know, and thinking you've hit go live when you haven't actually gone live. And, you know, like, cause I clicked the button, but it mustn't have triggered it. I don't know. We all have these different things. We all have these, or the one that I love, which happens every now and again, still happens. I think I've tested all my scenes. Everything's great. And what I don't realize is the scene, like if it's got this with this particular camera or this particular camera, they both have inbuilt mics. Sometimes their mic will still be on. I will have forgotten to hit the mute button when I was creating the scene, and people in the chat will be like, there's something janky with your audio, you know, and just being like, okay, fix it. I just dig in and fix it, you know, and it is more like, I find it mortifying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm here trying to help people live stream. And what did I just do? Like tip number 1, check your mic is working. But it happens because we all get into a flow where we're comfortable, right? Where, oh yeah, cool, this is going to work, no problems. It was just like me with StreamYard. Oh yeah, this is going to work, no problems. It's always worked. And then to be like, oh my God, it's not working. We're going to have to go with something else. and be like, okay, but we've never tested this for this. Okay, let's do it anyway. All right. Livestream consultant says that's one reason I like OBS for that. It's obvious when the mic is off. Look, so is Ecamm. I'll be honest. When someone says, "Hey, the audio is janky," I'll look over. I'll be like, "Oh," and it's just a case of me actually looking at the audio box. So because I tend to look here, which is where the camera is, whereas this is where the screen is. Although in saying that, I don't know if it's all set up here. I don't even know if it's on. Let me just check. Did I? Is that going to work? There we go. No, it's not on. I actually have a second camera set up over here, but it's for some reason it's not. It's not. For some reason it's not connected. Interesting. Cool. But yeah, I actually have a second camera that's directly above this monitor now, which I don't use very often. Obviously, I didn't test it, so. Because I tend to use this one, and I look here and into my new Elgato prompter, which I love very much. If you are looking at a Christmas present for yourself and you haven't bought one yet and you didn't grab one in the sales, I would seriously consider the Elgato prompter. It's one of these things. I do have a link for it in a video somewhere. I'll find a link for it for you. But it's one of these things where I didn't realize how much I'd use it till I started using it, right? Like I had another teleprompter here. I had the newer 12T, I think it was. I could put an iPad in it. It was fine. I have used this one so much more. Just ridiculous. Like I don't know what to say. It has been surprising at how much I use it and what I use it for and things like that. So I think it's definitely an option. Because one of my pet peeves, and it's not a bad thing, it's not a wrong thing, it's just a pet peeve of mine, and especially when I do it, right, is when I have a guest or I'm doing an interview or I'm in some way supposedly interacting with someone, but I've got to look over here to be able to see their faces. So it looks to you and to the people watching and to the person I'm chatting to that I'm reading an email or something. They don't know that I'm looking at the screen with their face on it because it doesn't feel like I'm making the connection. It doesn't seem like I'm looking at you. And yeah, it's made a big difference having a teleprompter, any teleprompter that you can add in that kind of feed. So for me, being on a Mac, adding the iPad made it super easy. When I was on Windows with an iPad, it was a little trickier, but I used software called Duet, and it made it so that I could actually screen share to my iPad from my Windows laptop as well. It's a little janky. I have a feeling it had more to do with my laptop than it did with the actual software. And so it may or may not work for you. Definitely worth checking though, because there's a free option. So you can totally check that out. And it meant that I could just screen share like the window where their faces were into the iPad and could look at it. Now, one of the big things I love about the this particular Elgato one is it automatically flips everything. I don't even have to think about it because it's it with the iPad one, I would have to, like, if I was using it as a teleprompter, so the fonts, that would be fine. I'd remember to mirror that. But when I was using it for like a face, but if someone brought up a link or something, it's all backwards. Whereas on this one, it automatically fixes all of that. Livestream consultant says, that is one thing a teleprompter does afford, as you can put the person on the prompter and talk directly to them. Yeah. And it's not so much, I don't think it's actually the intended use of a teleprompter, right? I don't think it is. But I find that is actually the most used feature for me. I'm not so much a script person, I'm a notes person. And I love that with the Elgato software, you can actually connect it to your voice if you want. So you can connect your Rodecaster or your audio interface into it, or just the computer mic, you get all the options. And as you say the words, it'll roll them up. So if you sort of if you've got like a bullet point and you sort of go off script and then you come back and then you say those words, it'll roll up to the next point. So there's lots of, like, the software is pretty good. I'm actually surprised that I like the software. Quite often I'll like the hardware and then not like the software. Like Logitech. Hello, Logitech. I'm looking at you. Logi, what's it called? You stupid, dumb software that's a waste of space on my computer. Logitune, right? Logitune, which gives me control over my webcam. I love my Logitech webcam. I've got a Logitech Brio, love it. Logitech Brio 4K, think it's a great camera. Logitune, piece of crap, right? Every time I want to open it, I have to reinstall it. And it never used to do that. It's just been since I did an update a little while ago. But every time I'll click open and it'll just sit there as a purple window of nothing. Like it's the right shape. It's their little Logitech window, little purple window of nothing. So sometimes the hardware is great, but the software is trash, and vice versa. Some places will put all their effort into their software, but not their hardware. And you kind of have to work out what your deal breakers are. So for me, I can still use this webcam without that dumb software. So luckily, because otherwise I would get stabby, because it would really tick me off. There's a $250 webcam, Australian dollars, $250 Australian dollar webcam that I wouldn't be able to use because their software is jank, right? So you've got to work out what your non-negotiables are. So let me know in the chat, do you have non-negotiables when it comes to your live streams, when it comes to your content creation, or when it comes to buying software? Yeah, I think it's time for hydration too. I agree with you. Hydrating time. Okay. Yeti. Oh, should we check to see if this tea is still burn your face off hot? I've had the lid open. It smells good. Okay, I'm being brave. I'm not positive. I'm so scared. All right. Yep, still burn your face off hot. Yep. 0 stars. And I can't get the lid right off because it's like the extra heat has created a pressure. Oh, there we go. Got the lid. I'm going to take the lid off and let it cool down a bit faster. Can you see the steam coming off this? Oh my gosh, no wonder I'm burning my face off. Alrighty. God. It might cool down by lunchtime. And it's like not even 10 o'clock yet. Oh dear. All right, yeah. So next week, I am going to have another stream. I'm streaming again next week, same bat time, same bat station. And I want to have a rundown of my, like, what happened this year and where my successes were and areas that I could improve for next year. So I would love it if you could have a little look at your content as well, and we can have a discussion over where we're thinking we're at. But yeah, had that thing next to a nuclear reactor for too long. Yeah, I don't know. Can you see the steam? I don't think you can. Like, it's just so much steam. Oh man, I don't think you can see the steam. Can you? No. But I'm just watching it. It's just like straight out of the top of the, and it's still going. I expect a little bit of steam when you take the lid off, but it's still going. It's fogging the prompter. I wouldn't be surprised. That's how steamy. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh my gosh. Tech and software better just work. Nothing janky. Yeah, and like because of this, it does make me a little less likely to test out like the $20 capture cards, things like that, where I'm just like, is it really going to work as well as my Elgato capture card? Like my Camlink? I don't know, but I've got one and I have been testing it. I've got the Ugreen one. I love Ugreen, you guys. I've got the Ugreen capture card. Now, it is 1080p only. It's not doing 4K. I don't stream in 4K anyway, right? And you could be streaming in 4K, and if you can, do it. If you can't, don't let it stop you from streaming. one of the things I particularly love about this, right, especially with how computers are being set up now, right here inbuilt is the adapter for the USB-C versus USB-A, right? Straight in, it's right there. You don't have to have an additional adapter, which I love, because sometimes I've got a USB-C port free, or sometimes I have a USB-A port free, and I get frustrated when I have to, like, I've got a packet, because they're plugged in, I can't show you, but I've got a little packet of Anchor adapters, which I just love, right? And they're these little USB-A to USB-C adapters. They're really small. They're actually like that big, right? They're quite small. They're very small, and they don't take up any additional space. Like some of the adapters mean that it's really hard to plug in something next to them. Like I've got some other brands here. A little box of goodies with all my bits and bobs. So like here's the Samsung one, right? So see how chonky that boy is? That is so chonk, right? That's a mini to USB-A. Like that's, I've got all the adapters here. Do I have a spare Anchor one? I don't think I do. I think I'm using them all. I am. But yeah, so, and that's really quite, like, there's a lot of extra, like, chunkiness and heft around it. The Anchor ones aren't like that at all. Oops, I just dropped it. So definitely worth checking out. I wish I could pull one out to show it to you, but I can't. I'm really sorry. It would unplug something I kind of need. But yeah, they come in a 2-pack. They're pretty inexpensive. So definitely worth having, and just having sort of backups. Like, so for me, my Elgato Cam Link that I have is now, I think we're coming up to 5 years old. I think it's around the five-year-old mark. So I'm expecting that it's going to just give up the ghost soon, right? Because it's tech. And so this is currently my backup, my little 20 or 30 Australian dollar Ugreen adapter. It's currently the backup. And do I want to get another Cam Link? I don't know. I don't know that I do. Not if this guy's doing the same job, right? Like, I love you, Elgato. I really do. I don't like your price tags, but I love your technology. Livestream Consultant says, I've had an Elgato Cam Link Cascade fail during a stream, and I've had those $20 ones just up and kick the bucket too. It is tech. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. You know, I buy it, I double check that it works, and then I put it away and hope I never have to use it. Right? Like, we don't want to have to change a HD language, a capture card midway through a stream if we don't have to. But sometimes you just have to, right? I think Doug uses, if Doug's still here, let me know if I'm wrong. I think Doug's using a USB in for his camera, so that's probably less likely to that's got less failure point, because right now we've got a mini HDMI to USB connector off our cameras, then the capture card, and that goes into the computer. So there's an extra point of failure there. So obviously you get a different quality of stream. Although in saying that, have anyone ever gone, oh my God, Doug streamed, like quality? No, none of us do. Most of us have probably never noticed that's what he's doing. So you've got to just find what works, and what works over and over and over again. Because live streaming is a bit stressful. Like, let's be honest, it's a little bit stressful. The Steam's still just, live streaming is a little bit stressful. And depending on how big a part it plays in your creation process. So sometimes it's a bit of fun that you have every now and again. Sometimes it is your core content. So like, think of like gamers and stuff like that, where it's their content. They have to have like high powered machines that can cope with everything. Then, you know, you've got all this sort of stuff. Like, it's just one of these things. Now I've got this particular Canon camera. I'm just going to, I don't know why it didn't turn on. Okay, maybe it's on now. Alrighty. it was on, and then I turned it off and turned it back on again, and it appears to be picked up. Let me just see. There we go. So this particular camera is set up the same way Doug's is. Canon, USB, straight into the computer, right? So there is a difference. Now, also, this is an old Canon Series 70D, never designed for live streaming, right? But it was my first proper camera that I bought, and I didn't want to get rid of it because it's got sentimental value. And so I'm like, how can I incorporate this? So I've set this up so that if I'm on a video call or something like that, and it was before I got the Elgato, I wanted to have a camera right near my computer screen where I could at least see out of my peripheral what's going on the computer screen as well. Now, it is different. It's a totally different camera, totally different lens, totally different setup, but it is also USB connected. So even though it is not HDMI, and the Canon 70D does not have a clean HDMI out at all. So I don't have the option to HDMI, like use the capture card for that. So it's one of those things. Livestream consultant says, does it turn off after 30 minutes? Now this is a different camera. So I have got another camera again. This guy here. Oh. This is my little Canon M6, I want to say. M6, yeah. Yeah, M6. Doug's got the M50. I've got the M6, right? I've got the Mark 1. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I've got the Mark 1, and it turns off every 30 minutes. When you connect these cameras via USB-C, they do not turn off, but you do get a reduced image. Is this unusable? No, it's not unusable at all. Is this better than some webcams? Yes. So like, look at what you've got laying around, other cameras that you've bought for other purchases. Now, luckily for me, Ecamm just lets you just connect it to your computer and it picks it up. Not all softwares do that. You may need to grab the Canon EOS software. There might be other things that you have to grab to make it work. But for me, this just works. This just works. So I'm not sure if this will turn off after 30 minutes. I don't believe it does. I don't believe it does. Oh, there you go. Doug, who uses his every week. I hope my dog's losing his mind out there. Ecamm keeps it open because that's the thing. It keeps an active signal on it. And I too have an AC power supply. So I've got it plugged. I've got a dummy battery plugged into mains power. So we've got these options. Livestream consultant says, I get an Elgato HD60. That's what I replaced the Camlink with. But I have a new Fifine capture. Is it Fifine or Fifine? I don't know how to say that. The capture card I'm testing to at half the price. The Elgato HD60s, though, are they not Windows only? I thought they were Windows only. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've been seeing some workarounds. Like Livestream Consultants, it says leave it on after you go back to your regular camera just to see. Yeah, look, I've left it on, and I've been, after a 2-hour stream over on Fiberific, it's still been sitting there on. Doesn't turn off till I turn off the mains power or until I close Ecamm. So even if I just move away, so I think it stays on, but I want to just clarify this. I believe it stays on, but I haven't streamed with it for the full amount of time as the main camera. Now it turns off when I turn off Ecamm. Or when I turn off its mains power, that's when it turns off. But I haven't actually used it, so I want to be careful with it. Doug, however, uses his all the time. So we're back to the main Sony. But yeah, so I've got different, like I've put different levels of effort into the coloring. Like, well, just go back here for a second. So even in Ecamm, right, I've got some picture setting options here. I can reduce down the saturation a little. You know, I can, you know, change the temperature, warm it up a little bit, you know. I can change the brightness. Ecamm gives us all of this ability directly within Ecamm to adjust our screens. You can actually upload LUTs if you're a LUTs user. I don't have any. I just don't understand them well enough. I think that they're great, but I don't use them. So, and also because my lighting has been set up here and here for this camera, I've only got one light here. There's no lights over this way to sort of come in this way. So I do get a more moody look. So, I mean, if I seriously wanted to utilize this and be doing the whole camera switching thing, I would have to add in like an additional light source, I think. But just see how it goes. See, I want to go back to this one, and then no, they're just a bigger capture card. They're just a capture card. Okay, just bigger. Okay, so what am I thinking of? There is definitely there's definitely Elgato capture cards that go inside of a Windows computer, right? I could be wrong. But yeah, I'll have to have a look at the HD60s. I'm gonna open up Elgato HD60. I'm not gonna look at it now, but I'm just gonna have it there so I can have a good look at it later. Because I'm always looking at alternatives. I'm always looking at options. So for me, the Camlink capture card size is not what drew me to it. It was just that that's what I could get when I needed something. So when I realized I needed a capture card, so it was for this one. So I bought it when I first bought this camera, which I think might have been, I want to say 2018. I think it was 2018 or 2019 when I bought this. And then realized its limitations, and it was driving me insane because I was using it with a capture card, and oh, hello arm, that was weird. I was using it as using the capture card and the HDMI, and it was shutting off every 30 minutes. Now, admittedly, for most part, with the streams that I was doing at the time, my face was a small face in the corner and I had an overhead shot. So what I was doing was fine. It's just my face wasn't showing, which to me, not a biggie, not a deal breaker. But when I wanted to come back to a face shot, it was gone, sort of thing. So to the point where we made merch that was just like face cam, because every now and again the chat would just let me know that it was off. So I'd just reach forward and tap it and it would turn back on. And I tried, like back then, I tried doing the USB and it was like a 480p thing. It was awful. I couldn't use it. Things have changed. Things have changed. Yes, it will capture 4 inputs as a PCI internal capture card for Windows machines. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going insane. Look at this. The steam has eased off a bit. Oh, it's drinkable. It's still a little on the warm side, but drinkable. Oh my goodness. How long did that take? Far out. Well, it's like an hour and 10 minutes before I could drink the tea. Saying that it was next to a nuclear heater is not wrong. Definitely not wrong. So, let me know in the chat, what do you use? What's your live streaming camera picked up by? Are you using capture cards, webcams? Let me know. All of these things work. Like there's no judgment. I'm just curious. Because I use webcams. I use a Sony A6400 that I bought for purpose, which I'm absolutely loving. I do want to try and get a new lens for it. I would like a 22mm lens if I can get one. But it's doing the job. It's doing the job. The issue I have, right, is see this line here, this line right here. That's not the end of my wall, but that is the end of my wallpaper. So if you go from there, it's blue, right? The wall is blue. So I definitely want to just I like to crop it in just a little bit, but I'd love to not have to think about it as well. I'd love to just be able, like, it's like, do I A, fix the wall, or B, buy a new lens? Because they're the only 2 options I've really got, like, to get what I want. Like, so I don't know, because it's right now this brickwork is just a piece of photographic backdrop. It's very thin, very lightweight. It's actually 2 pieces that I've had to join together because it wasn't long enough. So, you know, it's what I've done. That's what I've got. That's what I've used. Because the blue is this really, like, it's not a nice blue. It's like a very pale, insipid blue, and I don't like it. So I wanted to change that. Let's have a look here. Real Men Rising is currently using the Elgato Facecam. I've heard really good things about the Elgato Facecam. Are you using the standard Facecam or the Facecam Pro? Because there's the two options now. And I've heard the software is good. Like, let me know. Like, how do you find their software? So I haven't used one. I like Elgato. I've got Stream Decks. I've got the prompter, but I don't have their Facecam or any of their mics. I've heard really good things about both. Oh, you've got the Facecam Pro? Oh, cool. Because that's the one I've heard the most good stuff about, like the most adjustability within the software and things like that. So that's awesome. That's a great little webcam. I seriously considered the option of, like, you know, one of those Installing 360s or like the OBSBots, like the smart webcams. But because of, like, my webcam sits up here flat, just getting an overview shot of my desk. Like, look, I can just show it to you, right? I'm just like, what is on my desk? Okay, desk is not trashed. Let me just jump into one of my other live streams and I'll show you what I use my webcam for. Where is it? There it is. There we go. Oh, I banged it. It's not on the right angle. There we go. There we go. So I use it predominantly for crafting, right? So having the OBS camera set up for that is overkill, right? It's total overkill, because it's like in Australia it's like a $500-600 webcam, and it's like, I just want it to get this shot, right? I don't need it for anything. Like, here we go. I'm thinking, what's wrong with this shot? It's all zoomed in is the problem. So I just want it to get this shot. I don't need it to track me or do anything like that. I just need this particular shot. Just make sure that I don't get any messages there. And so for me, that was overkill using that. So let's jump back to our current Doobie Watts. There we go. All right. I'm not using their software at the moment. I'm challenging myself to use it in 2025. Awesome. Awesome. So you've been happy with it out of the box. That is good as well. That is good as well. Like, it gets a bit frustrating when you buy something that's supposed to be like a plug and play, and then you're like, oh yeah, got to install the software, because yeah, while it does technically connect and work, you know, I look like I'm currently on another planet. So, I have the two webcams from Livestream Consultants. I have two webcams. Let me know which webcams you've got. And a Lumix G7 on a cam link, and I'm going to get some Sony A7s this coming year for that full frame goodness. And they're not that expensive compared to other full frames out there. I will say I love, like, I was a Canon girl and jumped to Sony, right? Like, I still love Canon, and I use my Canons for my stills. My Sony A6400 does not leave the studio ever, right? It is always connected to my desk. So this is the one I take out mostly. I mean, he lives on a tripod. So, but the Canons are the ones I have the most glass for, because that's where I first invested everything. But I don't use any of their, like, so luckily for me, for that other camera over there, I was setting it up for a Fibrific live stream and the camera fell over and the lens broke. Now the camera didn't break, thank goodness, but the lens shattered. And luckily I had extra lenses, whereas I only have the one lens for the Sony. And so that's the Sony E mount. And so I'd love to get like a 22mm pancake for it, because I don't do the zoomy stuff. If I'm zooming, I'm using the zooming within. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out and show you the backdrop. See how the wall the wall ends. But I do this all natively within Ecamm, so I don't have to, there we go. I don't have to have a zoom lens on my camera, which is really great. Except I do notice when I'm like jumping into like a Google Hangout or like, you know, a StreamYard thing or something like that, I need to actually lean over and physically adjust it so I can get that line and not show, you know, my awful cable management, or like, because that cable, that's my, if my internet's getting a bit janky, I have a cord I can run from my computer across the house into the actual router. So that's it there. It's ready to go. And it's wound in such a way that I just drop it, plug it in here, and can just run straight to the router and plug it in there, and I'm done in like 15 seconds. Looking to get a few Sony A5100s as well because they're small, light, and look great. That's how I feel about the A6400s. I think that they're lightweight, they have a great image, they're less expensive. I don't know if they're less expensive than 5100s. They're definitely less expensive than the A7s. And you know, like, they're great. You just have to find something you're happy with. And I really think that if you're going to go with the brand, make sure that you're going, and you're going to go all in, especially for someone like you, live stream consultants who needs multiple cameras. Make sure your glass is comparable, you know, like, because you're going to have your Lumix G7. The glass on that's not going to be able to fit on any of your Sonys. So like, that was an issue that I had when I had to decide, okay, am I jumping ship? Because I bought the Mark 1, and then when was it? It was maybe 6 months later the Mark 2 came out. And it was just like, and the Mark 2 doesn't have the 30-minute shut off. And I was so annoyed that there was no way for me to update a perfectly good camera that I'd bought 6 months earlier. And I just didn't understand when I made my purchase. Like, this was back when this was my first DSLR for live streaming. Before that, I was using 2 webcams. I was using the webcam built into my laptop and an external webcam. I wasn't using an actual camera. And this was supposed to be my big upgrade, my big change, you know, like, it was supposed to change everything, and it did. It really just ticked me off because I made a purchase with not enough information. So I love the Canon M6s. I think they're great. Don't get the M1, get the M2. Doug is all about the Canon M50s. I don't know if you can even still buy them, but the Canon M50s rocked as well. But I'm Team Sony now. Sorry, Canons, as I look at 2 of you. I'm definitely Team Sony. The A5100s are running around for 300-ish US. The Sony A7, the A7s are around 400. They all use the email. What are the A6400s worth in the US? Because I'm looking at way more. Because I was thinking about getting a second A6400. And then I looked at the price and went, no, I'll just use one of the Canons. So yeah, and they use the E-mounts as well. E-mounts is great. There's lots of options with your E-mount lenses. So yeah. Oh, anyway. So this is our last stream before Christmas Day. So I should say thank you so much for always being here this year. It's been a big year of growing and learning for me, and just accepting that you guys will come and hang out even if I don't have a guest. So thank you for that. That was a big thing when I first rebooted this, not rebooted, but started kicking off the live streams again in this channel. I honestly felt no one was going to turn up if I didn't have a guest. And so I was really put off, and a massive thank you to all of you who've made me realize that was just crap. And that you've like helped me get my new chair. Like, I actually think that with that like huge number of coffees from Larry, I think we've actually finally kicked the chair goal off the list. I think the chair is done. Let me just go in and look. Let me in to buy me a coffee computer. Phone. Let's have a look here. So the new A6400 here is $800. I mean, yeah, that's, and it's still a crop lens. It's, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm looking at about 1,500, and that's about how much I paid for it when I bought it back in like 2021 or whatever it was. Let me do this. I'm just, come on, little thing, be quicker. You're so slow. Does anybody else get annoyed that when you go to log in with something with an email address, right? But they only put the email address and you've got to put that in, and then it gives you the spot for the password. I'm like, dude, just let me have both at once. I'm going to need both. Now I've got to press the buttons twice. Little things tick me off. Little things. All right, let me have a look here. The goal is completed. I've ticked the markers completed, confirmed. We set a goal. We reached the goal. I may have bought the chair before the goal was reached because I needed the chair. Real Men Rising. Everyone have a great and happy holidays. I love hanging out with you all. We love having you here. Thank you for coming in. Let's have a look here. For me, there's not enough difference for my use case to justify the 6400 versus the 5100. I don't think there is. When I was first buying the 6400, I couldn't get my hands on a 5100. So all I could get was the 6400. So that's what I did. That's what I got. So, woohoo! You have completed the level. Time to level up. Like, I don't know, maybe like one of the things, right? It made me really like, this is just talking about setting a goal on Buy Me a Coffee. For me, it was really weird setting the goal in the first place. Like, I should just be able to buy my chair myself. Honestly, I shouldn't need help. And my husband was just like, pull your head out of your butt and accept help sometimes, right? It's a regular conversation we have. I'll be like, oh, I need to move this entire bookshelf that's full of books and I want to move it to this other wall. And he'll be like, I'll help you with that. And then he'll come home from work and it's done. And then I'll be a broken pile of human on the floor somewhere because I really shouldn't have done it, but I did it, and I emptied all the books out and I moved the bookshelf and then I put all the books back in and now I can't cook dinner because I'm sore. And he'll be like, I would have helped with that. I'm the same when it comes to this sort of stuff. I'm very, like my husband says this and I don't think he says it in a kind way. You're a very independent person. I think I might be a little too independent for his comfort. But I really had to think about setting the goal. I really had to be like, how much do I want this chair? How much do I want this thing? That I want to put it out publicly that I need help with this and that I can't get it without your help, right? I really had to think about that because have any of you seen the backlash that Viper has gotten for crowdfunding his what was it? It was the Apple Vision Pro. Like, there've been a few people, like just a few people, like not most people, but just a few that are just really indignant that he dared ask his community to chip in for that. And I was reading through the posts and I'm like, oh my God, what would they say if they knew I asked your help for a chair? Like, and so that is always in the back of my mind. Like, what will people think? Right? I know, I shouldn't care, but I do care, right? I do care. So I don't know what I'll put in as another goal because I would like to level up. I actually found it really fun. I found it really fun having the goal and just seeing if we could meet it. Like for me, it is about the leveling. Did I fill the bar? Like, was the bar this long or this long? Doesn't matter. But did I fill it? Squirrel, yeah. Livestream consultant says, so what's the goal for next year that we can help you reach? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I really want to go back to Vid Summit again, and I don't know if I'll be doing it again for work. I don't know. Like, things are in the air because it was a big thing. But I really would like to go again. But then, like, what if I crowdfunded that and then found out I got to go with work again? Then I would feel awful that you guys helped me get there, except then work paid for the whole trip. Like, I don't know what I want to do because, like, little things, I'd like to just, be able to say I can just get it myself. Like the new lens. I'd love to, but I've been wanting to get that lens now for 2 years and I still haven't gotten it. Whereas if I go in and go, okay, this is a goal, let's aim and get this lens, right? Or whatever. We'll just use lens as the example. Get this lens because we've done it together. I would feel like I need to go out and buy that lens now. Let's get that lens. Let's get it installed. Let's go, hey, we're streaming with the new lens. You probably can't even see a difference. I know the difference. Amazing Yacht Destinations. You've joined us just in time for our we're just doing the chat, the hangout now. We've done the failure part. We're hanging out now. We're hanging out. Then let's make that your goal. If you get to go for work, then help someone else get there, and that could not get there otherwise. That could actually be really cool. That would be actually really quite amazing to find someone who would really love to go that just couldn't go. And that way, and that's like that. Then there's the guilt-free plan. Doug, do we know how much the airfares are at the moment? That, like, last I saw, they were still really ridiculous. Like, it's just ridiculous, the airfares. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it too much. I tried to have a little look when we got back, just because I was curious. And also American Airlines have opened up a direct route from Brisbane to Dallas. And I was just like, that's cool. But the prices look the same. It's like, you know, the $3.5 grand return Australian. And I was just like, well, that's dumb. It's supposed to go down when there's more players in the field. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I tell you what though, I highly recommend the Texican. And I also know for a fact that if you make a group booking, it only has to be 10 people. And you get, I'm not sure what the discount is, but there is definitely a deal for 10 people or more in your booking. So that could be something we could consider down the track as well, is actually doing a group booking for the Texican. That's if you guys wanted to stay at the Texican, or if I found more people that wanted to stay at the Texican. But I thought it was great, and I did, like, in all the time I was there, I did sit on the poolside and dangle my feet in the pool one night. That was just really nice. Doug says he hasn't looked recently. Yeah, neither have I. Because you kind of just get stuck. Yeah. Is that the one where we had dinner with you? Yeah, in there. That's right. And because it's a seasonal, we're not sure if they're flying that route in early October just yet. Yeah, that's right. It does make it tricky that that it's not like a year-round service. It's just a seasonal service, and it happens to be at around that point that it stops or starts. I can't remember whether it stops it or starts it. I think it stops it just before. Which I just think is odd. But anyway, I don't understand the ins and outs of planning flight paths, and it's above my pay grade. I don't know. I don't understand. I would really just love Star Trek Transporter. Like, is someone on that? Like, are we up to human testing yet? Because seriously, I would just like to go, oh, I want to go to Vid Summit. I need to be there tomorrow. And go, oh, then I better get up at, like, I need to be there by 9. I better get up at 8. Better be packed and ready by 8:30 to go, and just walk through like a doorway and appear coming through another doorway. So, I mean, bring it. I do not like the flight. It was fine. It wasn't like I didn't have a bad flight or anything. I just don't like the whole flight thing. It's not my favorite. Some people love flying. I'm indifferent to the actual flying. Yeah. So like I'm not like afraid of flying or anything like that. I just didn't enjoy it. Going Qantas via Sydney will get us on the A380 to Dallas. Will it now? I want to go on the A380. Okay, let me know in the chat. Am I the only person who like plans flight paths based on the kind of plane I'm going to be in? Like, I need to know this. Yeah, because I like particular style planes better than others. And I've only been on an A380 once, and it was awesome. And I would like to do it again, please. So, yeah. It's okay. If I was on the plane, you would have had an extra pilot just in case. Oh, that's cool. It starts August 2025. Oh my gosh. Like, I want that. Like, looks like I'm planning to fly, but looks like doesn't matter if it's the Dallas to Sydney direct from Brisbane, because I want to go to Sydney. Frankie says, I always suss out the plane and seating and every little thing. Oh, me too. Me too. And you know what? I'm not a window person. Like, I don't care about the window when I'm flying. I will happily take my ideal seat. Are you ready? I think we may have discussed this, but I'm going to say it again. My ideal seat is middle of the plane on one of the aisles, right? That's my ideal seat. I don't care which aisle. I prefer the aisle on the left because my left knee is the one that I need to straighten, and like, so I need to poke that out into the aisle to, because it gets sore. It's bad. It's in a bad way. So I like center. I like the aisle. I like the middle, but I like the aisle seat. So I don't want that middle seat in the middle. No, I think the middle seats should just never have people in them. Personally, I think they should be like for bags or something. After watching the fly, I'm not going to try to teleport soon. Yeah, look, I don't think I want to be a guinea pig for the human teleporting, but once it's a bit more commercial, like where you just pay to be teleported, I think that's always it. We don't fly much, so it hasn't been a concern really on what type of plane. Usually we would just take whatever was cheaper with the carriers. We like, yeah, look, price is always forefront, right? But if I've got a choice of like a different time to fly for a different flight, like for a different plane, I'll be checking which plane I want, especially for long hauls. I don't care so much when it's just Brisbane to Sydney or something like that. It's like an hour-long flight. I'm going to be uncomfortable no matter what. But in these long haul flights, like this was I think, what did I work it out at? It was like a 15-hour leg from Sydney through to Dallas. I need to be comfortable, or at least marginally comfortable for that. Livestream consultant says, window seat for me at the emergency exit as I get more leg room for my almost 2-meter height issue. Like, I love that for you. I can't sit in the emergency exits. Do you know why? Are you ready? I hope you're sitting down and you're not driving, because this is a funny thing. I'm not allowed to sit in the emergency exits, even though that would be better for my dumb short legs, because I'd be able to stretch my leg out a lot more easily without, risking the safety of someone walking. I can't sit on those exit rows because you have to be able to follow the commands of the flight crew. Tick can do that. You have to be able to get a 20-kilo item out of the overhead lockers. Can't do that. Do you know what else I can't get out of an overhead locker? My handbag. You know why? Because I can't reach the overhead lockers. So, because I cannot reach them. I can open the door. Sometimes it depends on the flight. Some flights I can't even open the door. I cannot reach to get stuff in because I'm too damn short. SMA Sky says, I like the window seat. Wish the seats would just turn sideways. Wouldn't that be nice? Frankie says, in the aisle center, you usually get a couple next to you and they always go to their side to get up from their seats. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, you've got to be at, like, if you're in that middle center, like if you're in the middle row and there's 3 seats in the middle row, whoever is in the middle of the middle, there's only a 50% chance they're going to harass you every time they need to go to the toilet. It's not a 100% chance. For long haul flights, I rather choose the more expensive airlines, less chance of people to sit in the middle. I chose Qantas. I wouldn't say it was, I don't know, I don't think it was the most expensive. It was the one with the most direct route at the time when I booked last year. And that's what I needed because I was a bit nervous. I haven't done the whole international to the US thing before and I was a bit scared. So I wanted less points of failure, so I chose a direct flight, right? Or, once I got to Sydney, it was a direct flight. Whereas Doug was able to go, he went Brisbane, Auckland, Houston, Dallas. Whereas I went Brisbane, Sydney, Dallas. So yeah, Doug did the opposite. But Doug also got his return flights for like half of the cost of mine as well, which I felt a bit guilty about, let's be honest. But maybe not quite half, but it felt like it. So I did that because I was nervous. It was my first time. Whereas I think this time around I would be a little less nervous. Especially if Doug and I can plan to fly together. That would make things a lot easier. If we could do that. But like But just saying, Doug, even if we're flying together, right? I'm just throwing this out there. I'm still not sitting in the middle seat, all right? I'll be on one of the aisles. So, yeah. Great experience with Air New Zealand. I've flown Air New Zealand to New Zealand a couple of times. I love Air New Zealand. I would fly with them anywhere, honestly. Does Air New Zealand do a direct to Dallas, like from Australia? Well, maybe not. Well, even if we flew Brisbane to New Zealand and then New Zealand all the way to Dallas, that would be better. I don't know how I'd go with all the hops and the changes. Learn Spanish World is going to try and come this year. Because this is the thing. We've got a little bit more time to save up because it's October rather than September. It's going to be a little bit cooler in Dallas, hopefully. In saying that, Dallas was about the same temperature as Brisbane was when I left. We were having a little bit of a winter heat wave, and it was, I got off the plane and was like, oh, it's about the same. Cool. Oh my gosh, 2 YouTubers on the same plane for over 12 hours. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I mean, I don't know. Lots. There's usually lots of creators on international flights when these events happen. This tea is still really hot. That's ridiculous. That is legit ridiculous. Yeti. Seriously. I don't even have the lid on. And so normally when the lid's off, it just gets cold really fast. Let's just hope it's not like Melbourne weather. Melbourne's insane at the moment. Let's have a look here. They partner with United, so they fly to Houston, LA, or JFK. Oh, okay. All right. So Houston would be the best option out of those, wouldn't it? Is that right? I mean, in saying that, I'd really love to be able to stop at LA just to hang out with some of our creator friends who don't go. So yeah, like spend like a night or two in LA. Oh, sorry, that's my husband ringing because he's like assumed that the stream's over. Yeah, then it's a short hop to Dallas. Yeah, all right. Well, I think I'll consider making that the goal, because the idea of if we were able to raise the funds, and then I found out that I was going with work or something like that, I would feel guilty, right? But if we then shifted those onto somebody else to get them there, that would make me feel less guilty. Kind of like, in Doug's live stream when I was gifted channel membership on one of my alternate channels. I was just like, oh, and quickly moved that gift onto somebody else. It's crazy. We had 35 degrees, hot as for 3 days ago. Yesterday it was freezing cold and a huge rainstorm, freezing as. Yeah, like we had some cooler days during the rain here a couple of last week, and now we're into some heat, but this is the heat we're kind of expecting for this time of the year. So yeah, Houston is an easy hop to Dallas at that point. You would probably be on a puddle jumper into Dallas. Yeah, I know Doug was on a much smaller flight. So yeah. But I think this time around I'll be less nervous about doing that as well. Last time I was just terrified. I was just like, oh my God, are they going to want me to pay for 2 seats? Like what's the deal? But now I know that it would be fine. So I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm less stressed. And because I've done it before, I made it into the US. Customs let me in the country. That's a big thing. I was allowed into the country. I don't know why. I thought maybe I wasn't going to be allowed. There's nothing. There's no red flags, but my brain was just like, well, if something's going to go wrong. How many hours is it from Oz to the US? It was, I think, from Sydney to Dallas. I did direct flight. I think it was 15 hours going over and 18 hours coming back. And then I had to do the extra flight back up to Brisbane. It was a pretty long flight. The smallest 737 had 0 service and no air gone. And how long was the flight for? How long was that hop from Houston to Dallas? That means you can get your cowboy hat to bring it back this time. Yeah, I understand my luggage needs better as well. I think I would definitely want to bring a larger suitcase. And then so because I ended up having to leave some stuff behind. I had some friends gift me some stuff, and I had to re-gift that because I couldn't fit it all into my suitcase. So I definitely would need to bring a larger suitcase. Like everyone else is like bringing these small. I got big clothes, all right? My clothes are big. And I had to bring a lot of Tim Tams. And so I need to bring a slightly larger suitcase. Or even just get a proper carry-on bag as well. Because I just had the under seat bag because I can't reach the carry-on. Whereas now I would be like, hey, could you put that up there for me? Thank you, random person around me. And can you get that? Thanks. I think I would be more inclined to do that. So yeah. Spanish World says it's the same as Melbourne to Santiago. It's a long flight. Yeah. It's a really long flight. It was it was very long. It was very long. So, but it was worth it. Like, I was nervous and I was scared. Like, a couple of things. I hadn't met any of my team before. In real life, I'd video called and stuff with them, so I got to actually meet them. So I had a few things to be nervous about. I think going in next time there would be a lot less nerves. A lot less nerves. You could take some salted caramel Twix candy bars with you back. Yeah, I'd be interested to try a salted caramel Twix. I don't mind Twix. Twix are good. We get Twix here, but I don't think I've seen salted caramel. I would try it. But yeah, it was. I had a lot of things that made me nervous last time. I think some of those things would stay. Like, I'm a nervous flyer. Like, I'm afraid to miss planes, which is a big thing. I really do struggle with that, and there's a running joke in my family about how often I go to the bathroom before I fly, because of like how nervous I am about flying. I'm not afraid of being on a plane or flying. I'm afraid of the plane taking off without me. That's where my fear is. Once I'm on the plane, I am fine. I'm like, I am here. I'm all good. But before that, yeah, not so much. But yeah, Doug's doing Yeti. All right, Yeti time. All right. On that note, everybody, I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna go and find out what my husband was ringing for, and I will catch you all back here next week. I'm going to stream next week. I want to have a big talk about planning for 2025. So if you've got some plans or you haven't started planning yet, maybe get some of those plans ready and think about them so we can chat about them for next week. Oh yeah, that's right. Your plane can't leave without you, live stream consultants. The planes I go on can. I am not qualified. Thanks, Learn Spanish World. I hope you have a great one. And look, everybody, Merry Christmas. I don't know if you celebrate Christmas or not, but I hope you have a really special time over the next few days. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, just enjoy time with your family, enjoy time with your friends, or enjoy time with your pets, whatever it is. But just have a little break, put your feet up, enjoy some just downtime, and I'll catch you back here next week. Bye now.